Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Awakening podcast series. I am Jacqueline Prince, and today I have Melissa Zollo. Hello, Melissa. How are you this morning?
Good morning. I'm very happy to be joining you.
Good. Well, I am equally as excited. You and I have talked a little bit, and what a beautiful connection that we've had. So I'm really, really excited about this interview this morning. So, everyone, the name of this interview or the title of this podcast series is "Using the Power of Imagination to Overcome All Obstacles." Now, that may seem like a very powerful statement, but as our discussions are talking about the process of awakening, understanding your divinity and the power that you have to become a creator, once you access that awareness and tap into that reality, this is not. Um, this is not a message that is not obtainable. So, and Melissa, as an imagist, a spiritual mind practitioner, a memory reconciliation practitioner, an energy and psychological kinesiologist, a vibrational sound practitioner, an ordained minister, and a Reiki master. My heavens, what credentials, Melissa, you have. But, with all of those credentials, what we were talking about yesterday is that awakening is not, even though you do have like a supernova aha moment where you see something other than the current reality that you're existing in. That does happen, the aha moment. But once that happens, awakening is a process, it's a journey. And so, Melissa, my heavens, having gone through her own valley of the shadows of death, she became very street smart, a spirit wise woman, acquiring and developing the tools to transform emotion, reset unsatisfying mental blueprints, to rebuild belief in personal and professional success, and increase the miracle working powers of consciousness. So when Melissa works with you, understand that she's gone through a tremendous journey, as many of us have, to get to this place where we have, having gone through that dark night of the soul, we've actually been able to come to the place where we can turn around. And as Melissa says, turn around and help other people begin to take that process of overcoming self-limiting beliefs and harness their creativity. So after years of searching for practical solutions and seemingly insurmountable challenges in her life, she has gained much wisdom and a deep understanding of the transformative power of consciousness that comes through focused imagination and energy balancing. After a serious and debilitating injury, Melissa developed a spiritual system which explains the secret of causation, enabling her to rewire her brain and triumph over her injury and adversity. Her amazing and profound method provides a path for other seekers to create a new reality for yourselves. And that's truly what we're talking about today, is enabling you to create a new reality using the tools that Melissa is going to walk through today. So, gosh, I'm even excited about hearing about this also. So, I understand, Melissa, that it's been 10 years since you've done any interviews, webinars, retreats with clients. Why did you stop just now when things were taking off for you previously? Why did you stop? Tell us about that.
Well, that's a really interesting question. I had been searching since the time I was in grammar school, I think. And, by the time 2009 came, I had realized that I understood conscious manifestation. I understood how to take an image, a belief, an idea, fuel it, trust it, let it go, and the universe would manifest it. And I had great success in helping other people manifest their dreams. But I myself, felt very heavy still in my heart. I had a, I had a burden of sorrow still, and I couldn't understand how can you be such a great manifester and help so many people and still carry this sorrow. And so I thought, I need to stop because my goal wasn't just to be a big success and a world name figure in this whole industry of self-awareness and self-healing. My goal was to heal myself, know myself. And in order to do that, once again, I had to let go. And I let go of a lucrative business on the heels of my mother's passing because that passing really broke through another level of programs running in my deeper mind and inherited imprints and misidentification and trauma. And so I stopped. I trusted that I somehow would flow and get through until it was time to come and speak again. And it's so interesting, Jacqueline, because of how you and I met online and you asked me to be on your show. And I thought, my God, it's 10 years. And what do I have to say? And what will I say and share with people? But I got an impulse from deep within me saying, speak, Melissa, speak, and let those who want to hear you hear you. And so I stopped. I really have healed so many deep programs rooted in sorrow, in feeling forsaken, in feeling forgotten, left out, abandoned, and I am integrated and I'm happy with who I am and I accept who I am. And that's why I'm here at this moment. For anyone who's going through that dark night of the soul or who doesn't understand what's coming up and pulling them down, I have an understanding of that, and I have, for myself, a way to get through that.
I think that's a really good um, conversation to have too. I kind of opened it up that in the awakening, I think we all understand that there's something major taking place, both globally as well as the global condition actually causing every individual to look at their own inner workings and to begin asking so many powerful questions. And I think some of the misunderstanding is we think that if we have this spiritual awakening, that that is all of the sudden going to just heal all of our dark, alleys, those places where we can't see and we don't understand. But what we find is the awakening is a spiritual awakening. But now we've got the emotional, the mental, the psychological, the physical, and those psychological programs that so we can have this spiritual awareness and yet still have so many of these subconscious programs that we don't truly understand where are they coming from. And those are the areas that I think people like yourself are really able to help individuals uncover those subconscious programs. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, I've spent the last 30 years researching and investigating these, I call them programs, are fixed beliefs that are running in the unconscious parts of our deeper self. And so I realized that by studying the universal laws of consciousness, I started to understand everything is consciousness. Everything is the use or misuse of imagination. Everything outside of pure source, which is perfection. Now we're talking about, my life, your life. We have these imprints that are running beneath the level of our conscious awareness. And these programs or imprints, once accepted by that deeper part of ourselves, will determine the results, the outcomes, and the experiences of a person's life, regardless if they see themselves as a good person. These laws are impersonal. They are no respecter of the outer you. They are no respecter of your color, of your skin, your eyes, your hair. They operate according to the inner you. And my expertise is understanding what is the inner me or the inner you, and how, once imprinted with a illness concept, a poverty concept, a failure concept, or an unhappy relationship concept from parents or beyond parents, inherited. And if one believes, and I do not say I do this, but if one believes in past lives or ancestral imprinting, well, then take a breath and say, wow, am I in some way dealing with all of these influences? Meanwhile, all I want to do is get up, be happy, be successful, be prosperous, be joyful, and go on with experiencing or understanding this great connection between Source and I, or if you prefer the word God and I, or the universal wisdom truth principles and I. So yeah, my expertise became, what are these programs running? How do I change them? And also, I have a great study of imagination, because nothing exists and nothing comes forward unless imagination is involved. Imagination is the picturing power of one's mind. And if you look at the world, you are seeing the outpicturing of flawed images, of flawed beliefs. Everywhere we look today, that's how an imagist views the world. Because imagining is the secret of causation. Imagining is what's creating reality. And we can use this power constructively or destructively. And
so is this why, I keep attracting, certain relationships, or feeling like there's a ceiling that I can't quite get above, but I don't understand
yes,
why I still struggle to pay my bills, or I still struggle to um, feel worthy of, all of these things that we attract. And yet we know we want something different, but there seems to be this huge, brick wall between who I think I want to be versus getting to the other side and
that's it.
actually beginning to create what I want. Because so many people really believe that because of what they're seeing externally makes it real, instead of realizing that we have this power within to recognize these programs, and using this power of mind and imagination change what's taking place in our environment. So how on earth does one even begin, when you say the power of imagination, how does one actually begin to recognize that, I want something different? How do I get through that brick wall, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And what.
Well,
Mhm.
well, for me, you see, for me, I I began my search not as someone seeking spiritual liberation. I wasn't searching to find God. I wanted to have a successful acting career. I was an actress, and that was my first introduction into all of this. So I come from a place of my goal was, how do I change? But so what I'm saying is it starts with desire. There are many people who have no desire to hear this information, but I had a desire. I had a desire. So the first step is to have a desire, a need, a dream seed for something other. Now we open the mind, and I said, well, something has to change in the way I'm thinking. Something has to change in the way I'm perceiving. So that curious mind of mine set the stage for how I approached change, self-growth, self-acceptance. So again, for me, I was an actress. I was in an acting class. And the work was based on imagination. The work was not based on dredging up your emotions from what happened to you in the past. And when I heard that idea of imagination, I thought, and the second thing I learned in that class was, don't bring your dirty laundry onto or into the rehearsal room. And I went home and I thought, how do you not bring your sorrow, your sadness, your fear into the next moment in life? So I was observing this. And then I got cast in an off-Broadway show at the New York Public Theater. And it was my dream come true. And I got sick. And one of the actresses in the show said to me, I know this healer. You should speak to her. I'd never even heard of the word healer, but I thought, oh my God, I can't lose this show. I've worked so hard to bring this about. And I called the woman, and in a half an hour, this terrible earache was completely gone. And I thought, how did you do that? And she said, you need to meet this man in Buffalo. You need to learn the laws of life. So to answer your question, where does one begin? For me, one begins with knowledge. One begins with education, not just someone giving you a technique. There are zillions of techniques out there. They work, but for me, you couldn't stand on them as a foundation. So for me, the first step is learn the universal laws of life, learn what is imagination and what is an image and how do I imprint it, and then how do I clear the energy off of the dominant, inherited, or acquired subconscious belief that's running me. It's like a program in a computer, and it messes up whatever you're putting out. So that was my journey. For me, it had to be knowledge.
So, that's really good, and we're starting to really drill down now, because the impressing, what we are beginning to understand is the children from the age of, birth, even they say before birth,
It's in
even
utero. I can
right,
take someone back into in utero. I've been
right.
taken back into that. So from the moment of conception, imprints are being made upon, whether you call it the uterus, the soul, the spirit, something is impressing from the mother, from the father, and then as DNA is downloaded, inherited programs are being transmitted. My point is this: we are not doomed to that DNA program, that emotional program, that inherited program, because if we were, there would be no forgiveness, no evolution of consciousness. In order to evolve, in order to rise, in order to ascend, in order to forgive, one has to understand one is this power and has creative power to alter or change or choose an alternate future, an alternate outcome, and either revise the imprint or completely clear it from memory. That's why my company was called Present Memory. Present moment awareness trumps the past.
And I think that's the beginning part of that journey is becoming aware that I have the power. We have the power inherent in us to make these changes. But you talked about the desire. First, I've got to have the desire to change. I've got to come out
Mhm.
of darkness, realize, wow, this is not the life I want to live. Not only is it not the life I want to live, but I don't have to be a victim. I have this inherent divine power within me to choose something different. And when you said the laws of the universe, there is a law. And when we begin to apply the laws and step into our personal power, we can make changes using what you're saying, imagination, and overriding those imprints. Now, I want to talk about that a little bit, because imprinting, like an old record, and
Mhm. Mhm.
the record is before it is impressed upon, is just a smooth, clear, clean surface. And when
Mhm.
that recording takes place on that record, it begins grooving that 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 imprint onto that record. And our brains are like that. So those
Exactly.
programs, as a child, the child listens to the parents yelling and screaming. The child hears it being told, you can't do that. The child understands that there's not
The
enough
child
money.
sees the parents going through financial difficulty and
Right.
becomes afraid, a fear of loss, fear of not having enough, fear of not feeling safe. Those
And
are
those
all imprints.
and so not only understanding we're divinity and have that power, but I think where I hear you say is part of the work that you do is guiding. And this is why guides
Mhm.
are so important right now, is in the awakening process. Again, it's a process that guides you are able to help someone. Because this is an individual journey. My impressing is not what you were impressed. So how do you help me identify what my false beliefs are so that I can even begin to create a different reality?
I listen. I listen to the person. And usually within the first 3 minutes, I see I just have this gift. I see, and I have a gift of hearing deeper than the words, and I feel the connection of what they have attached to that belief and that program, and I can tell how it's their default position. And so once I get that imprint of what they are carrying, I then assess, I energy test, and I can assess, do you want to let it go? Do you want to let it go? Do you want something else? So there's that inventory where you listen, and then the client and I come to an understanding that yes, that 9 out of 10 times they'll say yes, I want to, I want something else. And when I ask what they want, they can't clarify it because they've never really thought about it, and they can't hold the new thought continually because they have no faith or confidence in themselves. And so again, it starts by listening and finding out. Now, once they reach the point, a person reaches the point of understanding, I'm suffering from these imprints of loss, of scarcity, of insecurity, of sorrow, of anger, of rage, of hatred, of injustice. I mean, the list goes on of how many imprints we carry. I am not interested in the problem. I first am interested in how strong is your desire for what you want. And then once I understand that, then I go to work with the client to create a new blueprint. And then we imprint the new blueprint into their consciousness. And then it is their job, between sessions to begin to imprint and through systematic repetition, just like that kid that was told you're no good, you're bad, you're fat, you're stupid, just as that imprint was made and that memory came forward in time, now the person is imprinting themselves with, I am prosperous. I have a client that came to me and within 2 sessions manifested $1 million grant. I had a client come to me whose husband wouldn't give her a divorce. Well, it's not miracles. It's using universal laws in a proactive, positive way. So that's part of the session. The second part of my working with someone, and where a lot of my work is going now, is clearing the energy off of the imprints. Where I had a client who has been extremely successful with this work, and she couldn't ever lose the weight. She had a weight issue. And I said, would you be interested in my doing something different and just going and seeing if I can find the trauma and the age that this imprint happened? She said, yes. So we did that clearing work and I found it. And I honestly, in a week, she had lost 5 pounds and was eating right foods again. Nothing had changed except something cleared, something released, something let go that had been at a deeper level than her conscious awareness could get to. And even though she was holding an image of lighter weight, it couldn't override the depth of the energy on the original imprint. You follow? So sometimes imaging alone, a person can be imaging and saying, I'm not getting results. I'm doing this. And then that becomes a frustration. So I then started to say, imaging is the key. It is the use of our, the picturing power of mind. It's the creative power. But if the unconscious has unresolved energy on a negative program, then clearing it is essential. And also, one of the reasons I was interested in kinesiology is we can test it. So it's not airy-fairy. I am not into readings. I am not into psychic predictions. I am not into that. I am into, if I am in pain or someone is in pain, sorrow, poverty, lack, illness, what's the solution? Because this is what I know as a spiritual mind practitioner. In spirit, all things are possible. In spirit, you are already perfect health, perfect wealth. Well, then how do I go from where the problem is showing up into the realm of pure answer and solution? And that is what a spiritual mind practitioner does.
Well, Jesus says, greater things will you do than I did. And if you look at the world condition, we're not doing a very good job of being all that we can be. We are told that all things are possible. So we're clearly missing something. So there's a bridge between where we are and to get to where we want to be. And there are very real practical principles to empower us to take this journey. Now, you talked about energy and releasing energy. Who's the author of Untethered Soul? I don't know if you've read that. Is it Dan Millman? Or he talks about that all of those imprints carry stored negative energy in the body. And so,
well, it's not all. Some imprints were positive. We're focusing on the painful ones, but
right.
Certainly people have positive imprints as well.
So I mean then the negative energy. So going in, tapping into that negative energy is like, putting a plumb line and then releasing that energy, which now frees up space to replace it with with the new imprint. I come back to without a vision, my people perish. And then creating the new dream or the new desire. What do you want to be? What do I want to do? It took me, most of my life to even, I was doing what everyone else wanted me to do and be, and coming to the place where I now am finally saying, no, this is me. This is who I am. This is what makes me happy. This is what makes me feel my bliss. And that is something that is very accessible to every one of us, correct?
Yes, for me, it's simple. Flawed imprints can attract unwanted evidence, and now the person starts believing it. And we have the ability to clear these energetic fields that are part of our being and also our cellular memory. And until we do that, our core is still in that energetic flow. And since vibration is a universal law of life, it's up to each of us to want and then proceed to clean out the same way you clean out your garage or clean out the garbage that you have every day. I find it behooves someone to learn how to clean out their energy fields, how to clean out these flawed beliefs and imprints, and more important, then energy has to find a place to go. And most people are not clear in how to image, how to hold the new thought, and that it needs systematic repetition. Because once you get that concept, you see, once I got the concept that the entire universe will rearrange itself to accommodate and realize that image. And then once you manifest, for me anyway, I sat back and said, who did that? What's my relationship to God? What just did that?
This is so
And then you start advancing in deeper realms of answers and questions about life.
This is truly the most beautiful message for me to transmit. And that's why people like you are just shine so bright in my world. And I so honor the journey that you've taken. Is the message that I can have and be and do that which I desire to be and to do. That it's very, very available to every single individual. And Melissa, I was reading some of your biography, and I understand that you actually use this to manifest, use these tools to actually manifest money in your life. Can you tell us about that story with Phil Zimmerman?
Yes, it's the first time I had practical application. So from the healer who my earache was healed, she told me about someone in Buffalo, New York. And I thought, whoa, I have to meet this guy. And so, but I didn't have the money. I was out of work. I didn't have the money. And I thought, well, how am I going to do this? So I called him up, and I know he sensed my hunger for knowledge. And so I said, I really want to come. I really want to study. And I said, I have no money. And he stopped me. He said, oh no, the money came. You have the money. I'm standing in New York saying, what's this guy telling me? I have the money. I don't have the money. He said, no, you have the money. He said, call me back. The class starts at such and such, we'll enroll you. I hang up, and now my head is spinning. It's like, I have the money. How do I have the money? I have the money. And so I went a few days just saying, the money came, the money came, the money came. And after a week, I couldn't hold it. So I called him back. I said, Phil, There's no money. The money didn't come. How am I coming? This is going to, I need to be in Buffalo like in 2 weeks. There's no money. He said, did I tell you that the money came? I could hear his voice now. His voice was like, it wasn't this airy fairy, it was like intense. I told you the money came. I said, yeah. He said, then the money came. And he hung up on me. So I'm like, the money came. I said, okay, so now here's the next step of what I thought was the way to do this. I started to go around and try to get a job. I was taking physical action before, and this is so important, before I had accepted the imprint, had accepted the outcome. So in truth, nothing in the universe was rearranging yet, but I was taking third dimensional physical action, trying to go and get a job. Now it's a week before the time of the seminar. I call him back. I said, I am no closer to Buffalo than I was. And he said, you are not listening. You are addicted to your outer physical senses, and I am trying to teach you to rise to your inner creative power and your inner senses and accept something other than lack and limitation. And he hung up on me again. And that's the beginning of me realizing he's teaching me, not from a book, not from a class, but from personal experience. He's teaching me how to believe other than the physical evidence of my outer senses. Well, now we're into the last run of the race. It's like 2 days before. No money, no job. I'm so embarrassed to call him. I'm calling my friends trying to borrow money just to get up there. And nobody lent me money. On the morning that I was supposed to fly, I went home to Brooklyn. And my father, who owned racehorses and loved to gamble, as I'm walking up the stairs, totally defeated, says, oh, I won at the track yesterday. Here's all this money. I want to give it to you. And I just broke down crying. And I went upstairs. I called the man in Buffalo. I said, the money came. And he laughed and laughed and laughed. He said, of course the money came. You never know the ways and the means of how spirit is going to manifest a dream or a desire, Melissa. But let me tell you this, you are the choice maker. You are the dreamer and the dream maker of life. And this was your first lesson in how you didn't hold, you didn't stay faithful, you weren't loyal to the outcome. When the power within you was telling you, and I am the representative of that power, to trust. He said, but I did not waver. So he held the image where I, looking back, was aborting it. I'd get it, I'd abort it. I'd get it, I'd give in to fear. I'd get it, I'd abort it. And so that imprinted me that nothing was impossible, to stay off the ways and the means committee of how an image manifests, and to stop being a victim of my own mental images, imprints, and most important of all, low frequency feelings of self-doubt, no self-worth, no self-love, and no self-acceptance.
So, faith is said to be, believing in something unseen as though it is already in existence. And we have this tendency to think that, from our unconscious, programmed belief in lack, scarcity, low self-esteem, it can't, to coming in and having an unequivocal, just allowing nothing to deter. But before you can do that, you've got to believe in that law that says that all things are possible. So you've got to tap into it is possible. I'm going to hang my belief there instead of allow these lower frequencies, these lower beliefs to to overrule. We're going to take a real quick break here, everyone. We've only got, let's say, 10 minutes. When we come back, I want you, Melissa, to kind of get a little more in depth about, how to get a hold of you and what journey or what tools you do in fact use with imaging and manifesting and fulfilling that dream that someone has. So we'll be right back in just a moment. Thank you, everyone.
We're here at Pan American Behavioral Health at 5th and Cortland. Pan American Behavioral Health in combination with the Commons Market. They're giving out boxes of vegetable out to the community. And we have volunteers like Lara Ramirez. Lara, tell us a little bit, how's this going so far?
It's been busy,
Yeah.
but it's been fun and rewarding.
Yeah.
Rewarding in the sense of everybody coming and feeling good about, just doing kind things for others.
Yeah.
So, lots of people through here.
And they're flowing through, right?
Absolutely. Coming through, but, it's been great.
Good. And this is good stuff in the community. We need this at this time. People coming together
Absolutely.
and doing something good, because this is a good cause for the community. As you know, this pandemic has hit hard a lot of people, especially Black and brown people, and poor people that live in this community. They have gotten hit really hard. So this is a good thing. And thank you for what you do, and thank you for volunteering.
Of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Awakening podcast series. This is Jacqueline Prince, and this morning we've got Melissa Zollo as our guest, and so much information. Sometimes I know it may seem like a lot, but I love the way Melissa truly has a gift of understanding these laws that enable you, empower you to truly create your personal dream. So, Melissa, that just seems like such a large statement to make to people that I can have, you can have, we can have the dream that we really have always wanted to create. What can you say to those who are truly, desiring,
Greetings, friends. This is
hungry,
Adrian Bernard again with
wanting
another.
something different, to really have that life, to really create that life that they perceive what is the life of their dream? Is that so unobtainable, or are you truly saying that that is really obtainable for each and every individual?
I think it's obtainable. I also understand right now at this moment in time, we are dealing with mass consciousness vibrating at very low frequencies that are outpicturing horrors onto the screen of space and time. And at the same time, there are many individuals rising, opening up to greater spiritual truths. So again, it always goes back to the individual, but may I say, appearances are yesterday's facts. Facts are appearances. Appearances are the way things seem to be. And people, if you're reacting to appearances, you are accepting them. And anything you accept is either a limit or an expansion of yourself. So it's really important for someone to stop and say, how am I letting people, situation, horrors, world events affect me? Am I rising from it? And or am I being pulled into it? Because one thing I know, behind all manifestation is the truth, which never changes. There is a one life principle. So getting back, you asked about money, so we'll use that as an example. But to observe a lack of money is to come from scarcity. And the way I see it is, if somebody is doing that, they are not feeling safe. And right now, if the world consciousness frequency was to be measured, I would think that it would fluctuate between scarcity, fear, not feeling safe, which triggers, fight, flight, freeze, and those who are holding to the light, to the truth. And so to me, always, the truth about money, the truth about any desire you want is to understand God substance. Substance is everywhere. There is an abundant supply of substance. There are abundant solutions to every problem and challenge facing you or any person. The key is to understand how does the law of cause and effect, the law of correspondence, as above, so below, the law of vibration and attraction and polarity, how are you using that at this moment in time? Because desires are like seeds. You can drop it in the ground, but if you pull it out or you don't watch it and protect it, thieves will come to rob it. Animals, bad weather, whatever. So again, I'm very big on the first movement. If you don't have the first movement, I learned this in acting class. If you do not have it together in the first 3 moments, you will not get to the end of the act, and the audience won't believe you. So nowhere in the universe is substance limited. We must come to know that life, the living spirit, which is your true essence, is infinite supply. Then you have to know the ways of how to learn the pattern by which to heal your sorrow, your grief, your ugliness, all the hates, all those wounds that we carry. Because if I or you don't heal what wounded us, we bleed on other people. We bleed on people who didn't wound us, and we project and carry it forward. And that's what we're seeing today. Replication of negative patterns where the energy wasn't cleared. And we see people reacting, some from a high-minded position and others from a low-minded position. But it will recur because the wheel of recurrence goes on until each one of us gets off it.
And that's the veil, that keeps us from seeing that unlimited supply. And I hear what you're saying is that in order to come to the place, excuse me, where you can actually feel and see that off-world unlimited supply, all things are possible, that an inner healing must take place. Correct?
Mm-hmm. And that's the clearing work. Each one of us has a wound, many wounds. Again, I say it could be from this life, it could be, 5, 10 generations back. This is where we are now, and what you vibrate now is what you set into motion to attract tomorrow. Many people do not understand the law of identical harvest. What you sow, you harvest. You don't plant corn and get tomatoes. So look at your life. What is your body telling you? What are your emotions telling you? What are your finances telling you? What are your relationships telling you? What is your work telling you? Look at yourself.
So,
That's the
Melissa,
only person who has the solution.
believe it or not, I just am amazed that this hour has just flown by. There's so many things that we could talk about, but I want to, in this last minute that we have, everyone, you know, what the Awakening podcast series is all about is providing you with resources and individuals that have the tools to help you in this awakening process. So, Melissa, how would people get a hold of you or speak with you if they were
Well, they
interested?
can go to my website, www.presentmemory.com. I'm on Facebook. I post uplifting thoughts every day, but they can sign up for my newsletter
And that's
in that
spell
way.
your last name. It's Melissa Zollo.
Zollo, Melissa Zollo.
So message Melissa on Facebook or you know, request a friend and begin your journey. Begin to identify what we've talked about and take this journey. This is a great opportunity globally that is, you know, instead of looking at it in a negative way, this is a really powerful time right now. So thank you, Melissa, and namaste for your time and for your enlightenment. Bless you. I love
Thank you for inviting me. It was a pleasure, Jacqueline. I'm
Yeah.
very happy that I came on your show.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And we look forward to speaking with you again next Sunday. Namaste.